Now, she kept us all laughing as the silver service train dolly in Dinner Ladies, and today she's here to tell us all about her new film, Sleepless in Settle. But before we get to that, who could forget her iconic turn as Mavis in Coronation Street, best friends with Rita?
Miss Littlewood.
That's me.
I'm Mavis Riley.
Is that face for me or has something happened? Do you know, I sometimes think you enjoy frightening yourself to death. You get a kick out of it.
I do not. It is not sexy. It's romantic.
Well, I suppose it depends what you've been used to.
I promised Derek I wouldn't breathe a word to a living soul.
I'm not a living soul, Mavis. I'm Rita, Queen of the Undead.
She's just jealous because I've got you.
Go on then, Mavis. Put kettle on.
I wish I had £1 for every time I've heard you say that.
After how many years?
25.
Please welcome Thelma Barlow. I mean, Thelma, looking back at that, it's 25 years, isn't it? How does it make you feel, looking back at all that?
Well, it was a very happy time. And I don't know, I've just had such good luck with jobs and work and people. And when people say, tell me a funny story, you think, well, there were so many, and they were funny at the time, but they wouldn't seem funny now. But altogether, it was like being part of a really solid, good family we were talking about. And it was a pleasure always to go into work. And I mean, they did ask some odd things that were sometimes, and Mavis seemed to be always in trouble. And I ended up sort of having to dodge a boat coming over into the garden, wheeling Eddie Yates. I'm small, he's a big chap, in a wheelbarrow and things like that. And eventually I thought, I think I should have been a stunt woman.
And you're still good friends with Barbara, aren't you? And Helen.
Yes,
and
yes, made lifelong friends.
Yeah. And didn't you actually move in with Helen at one point? Didn't you both live
yes,
together?
well, we were in digs in Manchester to begin with. And then I bought a house there. And it was a big house, family house, 4 floors. And we just set about decorating it together. We're both very small. But somehow we managed. We did all the wallpapering and the painting and everything else. And we just enjoyed it,
Yeah.
We're still good friends.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thelma, you came out of retirement to do this short film that you've done, which is Sleepless in Settle, which is absolutely phenomenal. I'm in love with it. I'm going to be watching it again. I want a series of it. It was amazing. Really, but Judy Flynn wrote, isn't it, and directed it.
Yes.
It's just so hearty, and it's got a light comedy about it, and just something that we need at the moment, looking at life and the relationship between you and your son. Coming out of retirement, what was it about it, apart from everything I've just said, that gripped you to say, I want to take this part, I want to do this show?
Judy asked me if she could write something for me.
Right.
And it hadn't been in my thoughts to do anything again. But I had seen some of her writing, and it's so good, and I thought, yes, OK. And then it was going to be among friends, and, real close, good friends. So, it was going to be a good time, and it took me right back to my first days in theatre of working with people who were so anxious to get everything right and do the best they could with good material. And it was just lovely working with Judy and with Graham, her
who are
partner.
both here, as we said, in the audience here. Welcome. I mean, Judy, did you... although you mentioned it, I want to write this piece for you, did you for 1 second think, oh, she'll do it? Or did you think there's no way?
Well, I went to see Thelma at her house, and I wanted to know what she wanted me to write about, and she just said I want it to be a positive thing and show, because often when people write characters in their 90s, they're usually something horrible happening to them, and that's so that's what I wrote, and Thelma was happy with it, thank goodness. So we made it.
Well, I think what I loved about the film was that you smashed all my preconceptions about how old people behave. Exactly as Judy says. So the first shot of the film, without ruining it for anyone who hasn't seen it yet,
There you go.
you've got your backside in the air and you're doing yoga.
Well, that's true, but that was what I loved about it, the positive side, because generally anything you see about old people is that they're a burden or there's something wrong, it's all downward. And this is, it's so lovely, uplifting.
It is.
And, isn't it? And also, I think the relationship between my son, it was Graham, and this character, it's so warm and funny. I mean, they have a lot of laughs together.
Singing. There was a particular part that really got me where I started to cry, even though it was a funny part, where you're both laughing at the table and you put your hand at your head and he puts his hand at his head as well. And it really just makes you think about this tight relationship and bond.
Yeah.
I mean, I want the series.
You are obviously more mobile than me at this point.
Oh, your poor hip.
I know, my hip, but you've had 2 knee replacements.
I have. 2 new knees, yes.
How long ago?
About 20 years.
And have you worked at your mobility and your fitness all your life? Because in the film, it's obvious.
Not all my life, but I think from being about mid-50s, and I began to think, oh, because with the family history of arthritis, so one started to get a bit crumbling. And, and so I started to do yoga.
Right.
And I was doing this when I was at Granada, and I was doing it from a book. And then they started a class in Granada, and I thought, oh, I'll join the class. Then I found I was competitive.
Oh, you do surprise me.
I thought, oh, this isn't right. I shouldn't be competitive. It's the last thing with yoga. So, but I went on doing it privately then. But after the knees, I took up Pilates. Which was much easier to do. And I loved that.
Well, I mean, we can't let you go at all without, of course, mentioning Dinner Ladies, another fabulously iconic show with the fantastic cast in that. Victoria Wood, I mean, so many memories again.
Yeah, so I was very lucky. When I was leaving Coronation Street, Victoria said, would I like to be in a sitcom? It was her first sitcom. And it was, I mean, the writing is just wonderful for an actor to do. You can imagine, you get the script and you read it and you think, oh, God, just wonderful, you're laughing. But it was very intense work, I would say, because it was her first one, and we all wanted it to be really good, we're all trying like crazy not to dry and to get everything timing and that sort of thing. So it was... and she was brilliant because she'd say, oh, I don't like that scene. Someone bring me egg and chips for lunch, and I'll rewrite it.
Wow.
And she would rewrite the whole thing and it would be funnier.
Wow.
Much, she was...
Amazing, amazing.
It's so creative.
I mean, sadly, we've run out of time, as we always do, but one last question that everyone's going to be wanting me to ask you is, would there ever be a chance you would go back in to Corrie or for Gail's exit or a little bit part?
I would be too frightened to be doing something like that again because it's so fast, the pressure is fantastic. And although the lovely little film we did in 3 days was action-packed, there was just... I think it was the fact that we all knew each other very well and we bonded so well and we could do it. And I would be too frightened in a big studio.
Yeah, well...
oh, God, because it costs so much money if you make a mistake.
Well, we all loved the film, Sleepless in Seattle. I
I'm glad.
Really hope we see more of you and more of that. And
yes,
more,
so do I, because I think it's worth doing more, because it's a lovely message to people about relationships as well, isn't it? I think...
Well, thank you so much. Thelma. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure. Thank you. Such a pleasure for you to come today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Lovely to meet you all.
And you.